So when I left Shippin, I joined some friends that convinced me to join another startup called Kanu Hawaii. How many of you guys have heard of Kanu Hawaii? Wow, that's nice, yeah. So three of us basically sat down our first day. We didn't have an office then. We still don't have an office now. So we sat at a coffee shop and started thinking, well, how do we get this movement started? We had this vision that we could create tens of thousands of people across the entire state of Hawaii to work on issues of sustainability or compassion in community or local economic self-resilience. So that was really our concept about 2.5 years ago that we wanted to launch. So we created a hub called kanuhawaii.org. We're a website where folks could come, share story, make commitments, make pledges, join one of our campaigns. And so this is where we essentially put most of our work. And as you can see, I took this about 2 weeks ago. We now are in roughly 800 communities. So we have members across every single zip code in the state of Hawaii. We have expats from Hawaii across the United States. So that bottom right graphic was pretty surprising to see as well. And members have made over 50,000 pledges. And here I just ran a program that took some of the commitments that people made and just stacked them up. So this is about 1,000 of the 50,000. But it's pretty inspiring to see what people have pledged to do. And we have a lot of commitments that other people have pledged to do as well. So we've got some commitments with 2,000 or 3,000 people pledging to do. And then the work we're doing really leads up to campaigns. So we've run 8 campaigns. We just started a 9th campaign. These campaigns are across the board very different. We get people out to grow food. We get people to reduce waste during the holidays. We have a Get the Vote Out campaign we just got started now where we're looking to get 1,000 people involved with the current elections so we can get some people volunteering for at the poll centers and things like that. So here's some pictures of the beach cleanups. We were in shelters and public housings. So far, members have recorded over 14,000 actions within our 9 campaigns. And so that was a pretty nice number for us to see. But this is about social entrepreneurship. And so Kanu's a nonprofit. How do we make money? How do we actually sustain the organization? And this is where my background in social entrepreneurship is now starting to play into Kanu Hawaii. So first I was part of the team to get it up and running. So now it's up and running. Now how do we sustain ourselves financially? And that's really my work in the last 10 years. And I'm going to share some of the stuff that we're working on now. The first thing we did was we pitched the EPA and the County of Honolulu to work on a project where we could bring economic benefits to low-income communities for energy efficiency. And that's a market that's underserved right now. And so we got funded. We were nationally selected as one of the partners for this, and we're going to start that work sometime in the next 60 days. And so that's going to be with the Blue Planet Foundation. I don't know if you guys were here for Hank's presentation last week, but or the last time we presented, and the Hawaii Youth Conservation Corps. So this is an example of something that meets our mission of sustainability, but also brings in revenue, because we're actually getting paid to do the work, and it's very important work. So that's one of our social ventures that we launched. Another one is we're actually selling our platform. So we built a pretty cool website. It's actually a platform, and it engages folks in a very efficient way. And now national partners are looking to us to use our software. So this is the Points of Light Institute, or the Hands-On Network. And they're the largest volunteer group in the world. So they currently I think they kick out more than 30 million volunteer hours a year, which is valued at more than $500 million. And so they've now just launched their community on the Kanu platform. So it's really neat. So if you go to their website, it sort of looks like Kanu, but it's branded for them. So that's an example of social entrepreneurship. We're meeting our mission because they're doing the same work that we're doing, but we're getting paid to do this type of work. We took them on the Hokulea when they came down, so that's a picture I shot of us before we boarded, so that was really nice. That work is also expanded, so we are also working with the Real Food Challenge. And so this is a bunch of college campuses across the United States that are going to look for ways to create better food options on campus. So their goal is 20% real food on every single major college campus across the United States. And they're launching in 1 month on our platform. And this example on the bottom right is pretty neat because they're hosting all these youth summits, and they've even adopted our terminology. And so they're asking folks to make kuleana commitments. So in the background there, they're using kuleana commitments, and they actually wanted to use kuleana in their name. They decided against that at the end, but it's neat that they didn't have an English term that meant both right and responsibility at the same time, so they used Kuleana for their commitments, and people are putting it up on the wall. So our theories of change are actually being propagated to other organizations, and we're getting paid for this work. Another one, how many of you guys heard of TED? TED.com, right? So TED, amazing organization, and every year they grant one wish. And so a couple years ago, Karen Armstrong was a phenomenal writer. She's written over 20 books. She used to be a nun, and now is just a thought leader in compassion and peace. Her wish was to create the Charter for Compassion and have it adopted by countries, by cities, by millions of people around the world. And so her wish was granted, and the Charter for Compassion was created. So far, 50,000 people have affirmed the charter, and this is also going to run on the Kano platform, and we get paid. So it's really nice to see us on the compassion side reaching out to get some of our work done. So I have 3 closing points, just random points from my experience. And my first one is dollars and experience, I think, are overrated. So if you look back to my examples, all of them have some very common themes. One is small organizations started them with virtually no capital. You don't need a lot of money. In fact, I think if you have too much money or too much experience, it might hinder your ability to innovate and really get scrappy and get stuff done. The second point about my past ventures is everyone was started, and none of us had any experience in the industries that we were going into. So I'm not a banker, but we started a community bank, for example. And people say we were crazy, but well, maybe we are a little crazy. So I think that this is true, that dollars and experience are overrated. So in other words, everyone here right now, you're ready to go. You have everything you need to follow whatever passion you want. So my first point there. Second point is, this is something I'm starting to learn. I think complexity fascinates, but simplicity is what inspires. And so what I mean by that is I've always been fascinated by complexity. I love really complex algorithms and software and puzzles and things that take days to solve, and I'm just fascinated by that. But then I really think back to what inspires me. It's not that, it's really simplicity. So if you look back at even our model of Kanu, we want massive social change, but how do we do that? By asking folks to make a simple personal pledge, that's all. It's a very simple concept. But then that can lead to 14,000 actions in 2 years across every single zip code in the state. And so I think that complexity does fascinate, but simplicity does inspire. And I think you'll find examples everywhere. And I have just one example to share. Anybody recognize this picture? Nobody. What is it of? It's the Earth, yeah. It's space, yeah. You can see the curvature of the Earth. I mean, it's beautiful. How much would it cost to take a picture like this? Anybody want to guess? Any number. Anybody want to throw something out? $1? $1 million? $2 million? So this was taken by 2 students that had an idea. They wanted to take a picture of space. And so I chose this example because we're here on a college campus, and these were 2 college students. And they were there with some friends, and they figured out we want to take a picture of space. Simple concept, and they just had simple solutions for each one. And so first problem solved, we'll get a weather balloon and shoot it up. Second problem solved, we'll get a phone and have a GPS tracker so we can find the thing when it comes down. And so you look at what they did to solve this, it was fascinating. What was more fascinating is they kept a record of everything they spent. So that's their spreadsheet. If you look in the bottom, about $150. So they got in trouble, so they can't run this experiment again. But so that picture is a one-time picture. But what was fascinating is that they even had a cheap camera that they hacked because they didn't have the feature to take the picture every 3 seconds. So they broke into it and added that feature. I was so inspired that I hacked our camera. I don't think my wife was happy. We had a cheap camera too. And I added that feature as well, and I went and took a picture of our night sky and stuff. But this is an example of how simplicity does inspire people to just do something and take action. One problem that they said was hard to solve was they figured out that as the camera went up really high into space, then it would freeze because it's really cold. Electronics don't do well, batteries fail. So they went to Walmart and bought hand warmers. Those you crack the thing open, you shake it a little bit and put it on. And they knew that it lasts for an hour. It's like, long enough. Shot it up. So simplicity does inspire. And my last point is, I'm kind of known for giving presentations with completely unrelated content, and I try to refrain myself from doing that in this presentation, as you'll see. But I want to give at least one sort of halfway related point. I was listening to a presentation by Sir Ken Robinson. You guys know him? Anybody heard of him? Yeah, so there's some folks that he's an amazing speaker. If you get a chance, Google him. He's really inspirational. But he shared a poem that I just want to share with you guys too. And I got a new phone today, and I should have been preparing for this, but I was playing with my new phone, and I found a feature that I can control the PowerPoint from the phone. It was really cool. I could see my notes and all that, and it worked fine, and then right before you guys came in, it stopped working. All right, so I have a backup. Anybody recognize that man? That's the poet W.B. Yeats. So he wrote a poem many years ago called "He Wishes for the Clothes of Heaven." So I want to read that for you. Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths, of night and light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. And I just thought that was just so beautiful. And so I think it connects because all of us have people that look to us and share their dreams. They're vulnerable. They come to you. They look to you for leadership, and especially children. These two being mine. We were at the swap meet that day. But they come and they share these things, and so my closing point is really we should all maybe all tread softly, because even their simple ideas can change the world. So, thanks.